Welcome. Thank you for joining me. Grayboardgamer here with Nocturnal by Cole Munro-Chitty. Nocturnal is a card game for 2 to 4 players that takes about 30 to 45 minutes to play. Before we open the box, keep in mind that this is a prototype and the components and the artwork are not indicative of what the final product will be. Here we have the game set up for a 2-player game, 1 player on each side. We have our 4 vampire layers that are drawn at the beginning of the game during setup. Here's the vampire layer draw deck, and down here we have the draw deck for the players. Each player starts the game with 2 starting hunters, which are selected randomly, and they're designated by the S to show that they are part of the starting hunters. And each player also draws 3 cards from the draw deck to start the game, giving them a total of 5 cards to start, and during the game there is no hand limit. In Nocturnal, the players will create teams of vampire hunters in a race to hunt the most vampires. The trick is you only have 2 actions during your turn, but you can gain additional actions by actually equipping the other player's hunters. While this does give them an advantage, it also gives you additional actions to take on your turn. The first player to successfully hunt a set amount of vampires, and in a 2-player game that would be 10 vampires, ends the game immediately, and then the scores are tallied up according to the points on the various cards, and the player with the most points is the winner. When taking your 2 actions, you can see that there are several options to choose from as laid out on this player action card, and you can take the same action twice if you want to. For your actions, you can draw a card, hire or replace a hunter, build or replace a base, fund a hunter, either yours or your opponent's, infiltrate a vampire lair, or attack an opponent's hunter. When performing these actions in Nocturnal, the cards can be used in 3 different ways. It can be used as a currency, as a hunter, artifact or building, or as a resource. Let me show you. On each of the cards, these are the starting hunters, and here they can be used as a resource either for bullets or stakes. You have cards that have multiple items that can be used. That's a wild card. And you can see the symbol here. This gray arrow means that it can be equipped by your opponent. So the opponent of this player could put some bullets as a resource under this player. On the game board, you would put it under there to show that you have funded that hunter. And then the opponent, because they put bullets on this hunter, could draw 2 cards and or infiltrate. Well, they can draw 2 cards, and then they will also be able to infiltrate or build. And that would give them the additional actions that they're looking for. Or it can be used as a hunter, played just like it is. Now this hunter doesn't have any resources that can be added to it, but it does give you 1 wild hunter for use in infiltrating lairs. Same with these more advanced hunters. It would give us 2 of the purple for infiltrating lairs. And then these numbers you see in the bottom corner are the cost that it is to play them during the game. And I'm going to play through a game here. I'm not going to play and show you the whole game, but I will stop the camera to show you an example of each of these actions, just to give you an idea of how the game plays. I could draw a card at the beginning of the game here, but I don't want to do that quite yet. And what I'm going to do is I want to put out one of my starting hunters, and the cost is 1. And as you can see, my starting base allows me to hold up to 3 hunters. that cost of 1 is paid by discarding that number of cards. So if I want to play that hunter, I have to discard at least one of my cards, and I'll discard the other hunter that I have. And that was one of the 2 actions that I could take. I don't want to put another hunter in play right now, so I'll prep for the next round by drawing a card. I've played through a few rounds, and I've decided to do the build action for the first time with this player. Here's the starting, and then here is the next step up, and you can see that it costs 2, but I can have 4 hunters instead of 3, and it's worth 2 points at the end of the game. And here I'm replacing a building that's already there that had a total of 1. So I only have to pay the difference and discard just 1 card. Now we've come to a point where I can show you how to fund a hunter. And this is this player's turn. You can see this hunter that they have in play now has stakes that can be added to it to draw 2 cards and then be allowed to hire or fund action additionally. And this one does not have this gray arrow on it that shows that you have to have the funding done by the opponent. This one can actually be done by the player themselves. And they have the correct card in their hand, and they're going to use this as a resource to fund. You simply turn the card sideways, place it under it to show that you've funded that hunter, and now I can draw my 2 additional cards and do a hire or fund action. And I don't think I have anything that I can do right now, so that would be the end of that player's turn. We're back to this player's turn, and we're going to infiltrate a lair. We're going to infiltrate this blue lair, which needs to have stakes and a blue hunter to do so. Thanks to my wild hunter symbol here on my starting card, that'll cover the blue hunter requirement, and I have stakes right here which will get discarded when used to infiltrate a lair. But I've met the requirements, so I can take this card, which is worth 3 points at the end of the game, and fill the empty space from the lair deck. Here we can see an artifact card that our player on the left drew. Can be used as resources, but mainly what you want to do is use it and get it into play so you can have it to score points at the end of the game, and it's worth multiple points for each requirement met at the bottom of the card. As the game's been progressing, our player on the right here has acquired a hunter with bullets ready to go, and that allows them to expend those bullets to attack an equal or lesser level hunter on the other side. So we will discard that resource, and we can go after an equal or lesser level hunter. They only have 1. That's this blue hunter here, and there's no holy water equipped. If they did have holy water under one of their hunters as a resource, they could use it to stop the attack, but they do not have it, so that player's hunter is eliminated. The game continued and came to an end when our player on the right infiltrated successfully their 10th vampire lair, ending the game. Then the players had to total up their scores, and this player won easily with a final score of 49-27. That's Nocturnal by Cole Munro-Chitty. I really enjoyed playing the game. I like the fact that the cards can be used several different ways, either as a resource or as a hunter. I also like the mechanic of having to empower your opponent in order to give yourself more actions. I like that a lot. Also, as I said at the beginning of the video, that this was not final component quality or final art. I don't know if this is going to be the final art, but I really like this style of art. I like the colors, I like that watercolor feel to it, and I like the drawings themselves. So I like the art the way it is. I don't know if it's going to change or if it's going to stay the same, but I like what I see already. And for prototype cards, these are pretty good, solid cards already. So if it's only going to improve from here, that's going to be a really, really good thing. Again, I like the decisions you have to make. Do you want to just play it safe and stick to your own hunters, try and put ones out that the opponents cannot gain advantages off of? Do I really want to put those bullets on another player because then they could come over here and attack one of my hunters and take them out? Lots of decisions to make. Lots of different ways to use your resources. Also, these were included in my prototype. These are a planned expansion. These cards, these black hunters, will be swapped out for the yellow hunters in the game, and they will take their place. But this is a planned expansion that's already in the works, and I've used them and swapped them out a few times, and it's nice to have different options than what comes with the standard game. Also, the standard game is good, but I like the idea that there's a planned expansion already in the works. Thank you for watching this preview and overview. Please take a moment to check out the rest of the page and Kickstarter campaign for Nocturnal.